नमस्ते, मेरा नाम सौरभ है। आप लल्लनटॉप की चुनावी यात्रा देख रहे हैं, जिसके एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर हैं गवर्नाई और सर्च बाबू। हम लोग राजस्थान के जोधपुर शहर में हैं। एक दिलचस्प जगह के बारे में पता चला और एक दिलचस्प शख्स के बारे में। जगह का नाम है तापी बावड़ी। बावड़ी यानी कि पुराने वक्त का कुआं। बहुत लेयरदार कुआं है, काफ़ी बड़ा है। इसको लेकर बहुत सारी बातें होती हैं। 400 बरस पुराना इसका इतिहास है। पानी रिस रिस के आता है और अभी भी इससे आसपास के 1000-1500 घरों में सप्लाई होती है। ये तो उजला पक्ष हो गया। स्याह पक्ष ये है कि बहुत गंदगी है। यहाँ के नौजवान इसकी सफाई कर रहे हैं। कुछ सरकारी एजेंसियाँ भी काम कर रही हैं, कुछ ठीक कुछ गलत। इन सब के अलावा हमें यहाँ पर ये एक आयरिश शख्स मिले, कैरन, जिनको हिंदी काफ़ी समझ में आती है, बोलने में उतने सहज नहीं, इसलिए ये बातचीत ज़्यादा अंग्रेज़ी में होगी, पर ऐसी अंग्रेज़ी होगी जो आपको समझ में आएगी। सर, व्हाट्स योर नेम?
My name is Caren, Pierre. So my French name is Pierre. My English name, or Irish name, as I should say, is Caren.
Caren, tell me about yourself. Where were you born? What's your history? What all you have done in your life, profession-wise, where all you have stayed, and how come you landed here in India, that too in Jodhpur?
It's a long story, you see.
Yes.
So I begin with my grandfather, who was a railway engineer in Bombay.
Okay.
And he built the Bombay to Baroda a railway line as a chief railway engineer. So he had lived all his life in India, and he supported India as a great country of great culture and richness. And he came back to England in his retirement, and his influence spread into my life. So that I viewed India as a homeland of wisdom. The culture and the music of this country attracted me immensely. Then I came here, and I found such poverty and such injustice that I felt, something had to be done. And all my life I was working towards eventually returning to India to try and do something useful, which I felt could be
What did you
part
do
of
for your
environmental work. I was an environmental educationalist in Pakistan,
Okay.
which I view as an amazing country, well worth befriending by the Indian government. And it is a country of great energy, and it's a country that has a huge future if it stops confronting India and joins forces with the international community.
Yes, that's the key word. It should stop confronting India and should actually
And India should also likewise stop confronting Pakistan. It's a two-way process.
Yes.
It takes two to tango. Remember that.
to tango.
So-
How come you came here in India and started doing all this?
Well, I came to Jodhpur by chance, pure chance, on the way to Jaisalmer, where I wanted to find out if I could plant trees in the desert, because I'm a tree lover, basically. I'm
You
a great
wanted to plant
environment.
tree in desert.
In the desert, yes.
All right. How many years back?
I said to myself, it was about 5 years ago, and I said
right.
to myself, well, the great deserts of Thar, which I knew about from Pakistan, where I'd been on the edge of the Thar Desert, and there I felt there was a tremendous potential with schools to introduce tree plantation to children so that they could keep their nurseries in their schools and then distribute the trees to their own farmlands and areas where they lived, and that would enrich their environment, and they would learn the value of trees in their lives. So this idea, I wanted to return to this idea in India. And it didn't happen for me, because I made a plantation. I called it the Heaven Garden near Hadda, near Jaisalmer. And I built a plantation of trees, and they were flourished. But then the people I was working with turned their backs on it, and the place failed because there was no longer watering. From the well.
Why have they done this?
They did it because they were goat keepers, and goat keepers have one orientation in life, and that is to eat trees, not to plant them. So their philosophy of life was totally the opposite of mine.
Had you gotten in touch with any government agency for this kind of project?
Yes, we had the forestry department people who were very helpful and kind in supplying trees to us often, and sometimes a bit over bureaucratic. But in the end, we planted a lot of trees. I think I planted well over 1,000 trees on a fenced area where we could keep the camels and the nilgais away, and the goats, which are a continual problem in rural areas. But this idea was not linked to schools.
Okay.
And I wanted to make a link with schools, which I intend to do in the future. I have done to a limited extent here with a
ये तो जो सरकारी नुमाइंदे देख रहे हो वो भी इस चीज़ का बहुत ख्याल रखें। मेरा बहुत यकीन है किसी भी सरकारी परियोजना के सफल होने के लिए ये बेहद ज़रूरी है कि उसको स्कूलों से जोड़ा जाए, चाहे वो स्वच्छ भारत हो, चाहे वो अलग अलग सरकारी पोर्टल पर उपलब्ध सुविधाएं हो या कोई और चीज़ हो। जब तक हम स्कूल से उनके बारे में नहीं जानेंगे, अपने घरों में जाकर उनका व्यावहारिक प्रयोग नहीं करेंगे, तब तक कोई मतलब नहीं है इस चीज़ का। तो you were planting there and then you came to Jodhpur.
I came here by chance and I saw the step wells, the big one, which
सीढ़ीदार कुएं, जी।
I was inspired by seeing the Ras Hotel working to clean the Great Bawdi, or the Tunjiga Jalra. This immediately impressed me, and it struck me as a thing that could be done again by other people. And I said to myself, well, who's going to do it? Which organizations? I looked around, there were none. There were no organization. There were private hotels. There were lots of people who could have benefited, lots of hotels particularly who would draw more tourism to their doors if they cleaned the places where they operate.
Yes.
But there was nothing like this. So I said to myself, well, here is the Mailabag Jalra, and it was completely trashed. It was used as a drinking place and a public latrine. So we set about cleaning it, me and one alcoholic friend of mine. And I say that
Why have you emphasized on him being alcoholic?
because I wanted to say that the people who've helped me most have been the outcasts of society.
Okay.
I'm an outcast as a non-Indian. And I don't view myself as being treated as an outcast, but I am basically from outside the system here. So I'm an intruder, if you like. And people who have been cast out because they're either alcoholics or they're considered a little bit crazy, they have been the people who've helped me most. And so I want to thank my friend here, who I might consider crazy, but he has wanted to help. And that is a great blessing. Wherever people have come forward, a doctor came forward and gave me buckets. People came forward and gave me tools. People have tried to help us. Sometimes they give a few hundred rupees. There are always people wanting to help, but they often don't know how, or they're too busy in their own lives.
What did you find
So I found
about
that-
these water bodies?
I found they were extraordinary places of vital ecosystems. Number one, they were living systems, like oases in the middle of an urban desert. Dusty streets, full of pollution, open drains everywhere. You step into a jalra that's been cleaned, it's full of water birds and fish. It's full of life, and it's vital, like you can see here. Even though the water is slightly polluted, it's full of life. It's seething with fish. It's got turtles in there. There are snakes
There
here.
are turtles as well.
Oh, yes, there are turtles down there. There are snakes. Sometimes we find a cobra in a water place. Sometimes we find sand boas, which are harmless little creatures. They always get beaten to death by people when they see them because they assume they're cobras and they don't know the difference. People bring their tortoises, who are land animals, and they throw them into the water and they drown. So that's another problem, you see. There are many little things
They
that happen.
bring their own turtles. and
No,
then
they bring tortoises, which are desert animals, and they
Yes.
throw them into the water and they drown because they sink to the bottom and can't breathe. So they don't know the difference here, you see, mostly. People who have tortoises assume they're like turtles, and if you throw them into water, they'll swim away. But they don't, they drown. So I've been looking at step wells as a sort of a case where a great necessity of every human being and creature is water. As we all know, this is assumed as a fundamental truth about being an earthling, a human being on this planet, has to have water for daily use all the time, to cook their food, to drink, to feed their animals. You can't do anything without water. And so far, the people of the desert regions have been given the great blessing of canal systems, which are bringing the water from the upper areas of India. Those are the Himalayas. And climate change is going to affect this. So you have three huge impacts happening to India. Population crisis of a massive growing population that is out of control, I would say. From what I see as Indian society, since I've been living here, I would say population is out of control and is growing faster and faster. This is a major crisis for India. And I don't say that with any alacrity. This is a serious matter for everyone. Every single human being in India is going to be affected by the massive population growth that's going on. Secondly is climate change, which is affecting the whole world now. You have the Himalayas pouring its water down into the rivers of India and Pakistan, and they come down here, eventually reaching the canal system, the Indira Gandhi Canal, which supplies nearly all the water indirectly of this city. That is going to change. In the next 20 years, those rivers and those avalanches and great water sheds of the Himalayas are going to dry up, and they're going to change dramatically. The water will be cut short that arrives in this region, and you will still have the huge demand and growing demand for food, where the majority of water goes, but the human population will be the last aspect of the agenda of governments, I'm afraid. So populations will be all suffering water shortages, and that is where these places will play a role. They will supply water in the future. If they're maintained properly, they will give drinking water to the people as they originally did. These places were drinking water points. You know, I've read a number of books recently. All water bodies that are called jalras and bawris were drinking water points. Even if they were used for bathing, they still took the water back home, boiled it, made tea, and used it. It came into use. This water from these bawris is amazingly clean for the age of the buildings, for the fact that there's a huge city above them.
What's the basis of this claim? Have you got it tested?
Yes, there are lots
quality of water?
The quality of water varies from Bawri to Bawri, depending on whether the Bawri is being cleaned or maintained. In some cases, there's a Raghunath Bawri, which is at Chandpol.
Which is, as per you, the biggest Bawri of this Jodhpur region?
No, that's not the biggest. That's quite a small Bawri. It's
okay. The one you were talking about, the Chandpol one?
That's a Naya Bawri.
Naya Bawri.
Naya Bawri is associated with a school. There's a school, and that's been now enclosed, cleaned. To about 80% of it has been cleaned.
I have two more questions. One, how many Bawdis are here in Jodhpur?
Well,
in what condition? And second question is, what we, the citizen of India, should do to preserve it?
Well, first, as the second part of your question, I would say, become involved in any way you like. Bring your children to see the Bawris. Have picnics within the confines of the Bawris.
And don't litter. Don't litter. Don't throw your stuff here.
No, don't think of these
like
places.
This. Don't throw it here.
Don't use them as litter points. Yes. Don't use them as waste points. Don't throw anything that contaminates the buildings. They are your temples, if you only understood it. Yes. They are places of sacred heritage and history. They gave life to all your ancestors, going back 20, 25, 30 generations.
And what will you say to policymakers?
To policymakers, look at these places as some of your greatest heritage buildings. Look at them as places for education. Yes. Use them, bring them back to life, protect them, and consider them open to the public all the time. Instead of closing them down, saying a child died here 20 years ago, now we're locking it up, and we're not going to let the public in under any circumstances. That is not the way to treat these buildings. Okay. They need to have guided tours into them. They need to be open at all times to the public, except at night, when they can be misused.
Now, the first part of that question which I asked, how many Bawdis are there and what's their fascinating history?
As far as I'm aware, having read quite an amount about these Bawdis, there are about 150. There are jalras, which are the square ones. Okay. They've got three sides, basically, with stepwork, and then there's a large sort of, like an auditorium.
क्या उच्चारण होगा हिंदी में? झालरा. झालरा. जैसे वो झालरा पाटन है, वैसा झालरा. नहीं, शब्द का उच्चारण तो वही है ना, झालरा. अच्छा, जी.
Those are the jalras. The Bawris are usually straight or cruciform. They can be, and sometimes shape of a 7.
Okay.
So they can be like this, a sort of... yeah, they can have a flight of steps down, and then they bend, and they come off in another direction.
This one is straight. आप नीचे से खड़े होंगे, आपको ऊपर तक रजत जी दिखाइए. बिल्कुल, अब तो एक ये कुछ सरकारी जीर्णोद्धार हो गया है, तो ये व्यू अवरुद्ध हो गया है. एक थोड़ा पेन शॉट लीजिए, जिसको आप क्या पैनोरामा बोलते हैं, जो भी बोलते हो.
They say this is a Gujarati design. Some people have talked to architects. They've told me this is a Gujarati design that has been very badly renovated and damaged by erosion. So the building is in serious condition of collapse in some places. Sometimes the walls bow in due to the pressure of rocks behind them. But I think This building, if it was renovated properly and carefully with archaeological support and the specialists from different international organizations consulting about it, it can be beautifully returned to some of its glory as it would have had in its original state.
Thank you so much, Caren, for talking to us.
My pleasure. My great pleasure.
लल्लनटॉप ये कोशिश करेगा कि जो यहाँ के स्थानीय जनप्रतिनिधि हैं, वो चाहे मेयर हों, विधायक हों, सांसद हों, मंत्री हों, पार्षद हों, उन तक ये वीडियो, ये बातचीत पहुँचाए और व्यक्तिगत रूप से भी उनसे ये अपील करे कि जोधपुर शहर की ये जो अनमोल धरोहर हैं, ये जो जल स्रोत हैं पुराने, इनको ठीक ढंग से सही अप्रोच के साथ प्रिजर्व किया जाए। आप में से कई साथी बार बार हमारी एक सीरीज़ किताब वाला का जिक्र करते हैं। मैं कैरन से बात कर रहा था और मुझे एक किताब ध्यान आ रही थी, आपको खोज के ज़रूर पढ़नी चाहिए। किताब का शीर्षक है आज भी खरे हैं तालाब। इसको अनुपम मिश्र जी ने लिखा है। जहाँ तक मेरी जानकारी है इसे गांधी शांति प्रतिष्ठान ने पब्लिश किया है। आप गूगल करेंगे तो आपको मिल जाएगा। मैं किताब का नाम रिपीट कर रहा हूँ, आज भी खरे हैं तालाब। उस किताब में यही है कि जो हमारे पारंपरिक जल स्रोत हैं, जो हमारा जल के संरक्षण का पारंपरिक ज्ञान है, उसके प्रति हम दुत्कार का भाव न रखें। नई टेक्नोलॉजी से लैस हैं, ये अच्छी बात है, लेकिन उस टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल ऐसे चीज़ों को अपनी सुरुचि या अपने हालिया अर्जित ज्ञान के ज़रिए थोपने भर में ना करें। पुरानी जो इंजीनियरिंग है उसको भी समझें, उसमें नई मिलाएं और इन वाटर बॉडीज़ की सही देखभाल करें। कैरन ने जो एक बहुत ज़रूरी बात कही, स्थानीय लोग इन्वॉल्व हों। हम कब तक मसीहाओं का इंतज़ार करते रहेंगे? कोई सरकार, कोई एजेंसी आएगी, कोई एनजीओ आएगा, हम तब तक बिसूरते रहेंगे, कोसते रहेंगे और वो ठीक करेगा। ये हमारी और आपकी धरोहर है, ये हमारी और आपकी बात है। हम और आप देश हैं, हम और आप इस जल के भोक्ता भी हैं और संरक्षक भी हैं। इसलिए जोधपुर के लल्लनटॉप के दोस्तों से मेरी ये विनम्र गुजारिश है कि जो भी जल स्रोत हैं, जो भी बावड़ियाँ हैं, जो भी झालरा हैं, उनकी देखभाल के उपक्रम में सिर्फ ज़बानी नहीं, मनसा वाचा कर्मणा शामिल हों। शुक्रिया।